everyone, Kale here, your salon and spa business bestie. I'm joined by my good friend and the founder of the salon business, John Halberg. We're here with your next Marketing 100 video, your tip of the day. These are bite-sized, little snackable, tactical things that you can do in your salon or spa business to level up, to grow, and to get more clients in your door. And today, we're going to talk about content creation, which we're clearly no strangers to, are we?
Is what we're doing right now, right?
That's exactly
Why
what
do
we're
we do
doing
that, Kale? Why do we do that?
For the love of the game, John. No,
Yeah.
No, it's
Everyone knows the monkey, right?
yeah. I just learned this phrase the other day. John just taught me this phrase. I've never heard it before. What is it, John?
Everyone knows the monkey. I don't even know if it's a phrase, or I don't even know where I picked it up from, but it's the person who kind of wants to be on camera, wants to be seen. Everybody knows that person.
I love that.
Here we are.
We don't have that term over here in the States, and as far as I know, but I'm a big fan of it, mostly because I'm a monkey myself. So we're all monkeys. This one's important. I think content creation is one of those things that, like, clearly we recognize the value of. Clearly we do a lot of it at the salon business. We know that it's a great way to reach people, obviously, but there's some nuance to it. And I think there's a lot of challenge behind it too, because it can be hard to sort of involve your team in content creation, which is really what we're talking about today.
It takes time. It takes energy. It requires like knowledge and, interesting things to say or to share. So just like having that on, whatever, you as the business owner, or like trying to have one person in your team, like just taking care of your social media, it's hard, right? It's kind of a lot of work. So I think if you're able to crack, like getting your full team involved and making sure that everybody feels that they are kind of part of creating your brand or creating the business brand and like putting content out there and sharing their work, that is really what businesses that are successful on social today are doing. Like they're having more people in there. It's not just the business owner or just one person doing it, but they're getting the team involved and like motivated to be in there and to create.
This is really about like creating the personality of your salon or your spa, whatever your business is, online, right? Like, what your culture is, and that, I mean, your culture might be amazing, right? But sometimes it's really hard to just convey that to the world. And sometimes it's also one of those things where it's like people act different when they're on the camera a lot of times. Like, people don't always act the same when the camera starts rolling. And it can be hard to sort of act natural, especially when you've got clients and stylists or clients and estheticians or whatever your business is. It can be one of those things that's sort of like maybe feels awkward. And that's normal. But there's sort of ways to get around that. There's ways to improve that. There's ways to sort of get camera friendly in your business. So let's talk about it. Our tip for today is involve your team in content creation. This is really, really, really important. It's more important than ever, because content creation is it's how people see you. It's how people get acquainted with your brand. A lot of times it's your first touch point with people. We've gone from an era where everything was very strongly word of mouth back in the day to, traditional advertising, on television or on radio, that kind of thing for brick and mortar businesses. And now more than ever, with this sort of, widespread adoption of the internet and social media in every crevice of the world, marketing your business online through the free-ish tools that you have is the most important way that you can get your brand and your business out there.
It's crucial that you involve the full team, or like as many as you can, those who want, right, in the content creation for two reasons primarily. One is just knowledge, having like people know different stuff, right? People have different personality, and you want to have that as part of your mix. The other is just capacity and like energy and time to create. And if you just put that on one person, that's going to be super occupied. But if you spread it out, we all have like gaps in our schedule and like room to do things outside of like the regular day-to-day that we do. So by just spreading it in the team, that's much easier to absorb that. There's always harder for some businesses, I would say, to create content than there is for others. Any business that is doing anything that is like visual transformations, there's always this like ease of just doing like before and after, or like showcasing your work. It just like comes natural, right? And you guys, hair salons, nails, you have no excuses, right? There's so much room there to create great content. I think where the businesses that I see that struggle more are more in the like spa business territory, whatever. If you run a massage therapy practice, or you run some type of like that is not visually transformative, like what do you actually do, right? So what I would say is like most people, when they consume content online, it's either because it's like inspirational, and that's where kind of the visual elements are, or it's entertaining, and then it's just the characters and the personality of your brand and like what you're putting out there. But the third one that I think is interesting is also like it's educational and you learn something. So for those of you who don't have like, you don't offer transformative services with transformative results, I would really like tap into that like educational type of content space and sharing like insights that people should know, you know, if they have whatever, a pain in the elbow or something, and you kind of treat that in your practice. You know, you can go in and to teach around that. And ideally you mix some of those up. So it's like you're teaching, but you're also making it kind of interesting and entertaining at the same time. You know, then you can create great content. Also, if you don't have that type of visual transformation that some other businesses have, when it, you know, could be easier to create content, you could say.
I think that's actually a great point, because there's one of the things that I wanted to bring up today is like, obviously there's privacy, right? Like that's a thing that we are concerned about in our businesses. We want to make sure that we ensure our guests' privacy. And for some businesses, like you can't film every aspect of every service. You know what I mean? Like a massage, you're not going to film every aspect of it. You're not going to like be in there with a camera, that kind of thing. But you, like you mentioned there, like educational content where you talk about like why you do what you do, or like procedural things like that, or even like slice of life content is huge. I mean, people like content because it makes them feel good, or because they learn something, or because maybe it's aspirational too, right? Like they see something they want. Maybe they're looking to become a stylist or an esthetician, or maybe they want to become somebody who walks out of their session feeling renewed, right? And I think there's so many avenues to find in your business. Don't be afraid to go online and like check out other businesses or other like professionals in your field that you admire or that are killing it in social media, and see what it is about their content that speaks to you, right? Like what it is about their content that provides some kind of value, because it's that value that actually gets people interested in your channel. You have to offer something. Diversifying the talent that you have on camera, like actually involving your team in creating social media and creating content online, is sort of a surefire way to find the stars, so to speak, on your team, right? There's many of them. I'm sure some of them are probably already killing it on their social media alone, right? You might not have like a stylist or an esthetician who's dead set on recording like the before and afters of every appointment, or they're really good about like creating TikToks or something like that. And they know the vibe, they know the feel of social media, and they're really good at it. That person's already a star. They're already primed for being a part of your business's brand, right? Like your social media brand and vibe. So involving the team and getting them more camera comfortable is a great way to also find those stars that maybe didn't know they were, right? Getting them more comfortable on camera, giving them the spotlight here and there. All of these things are ways to sort of build up to that. This combo is a great way to not only build prestige for your business, right? It's going to be under your name, but it's also building prestige for those individual content creators and stylists and estheticians. That social media participation is a key element in the success of any modern salon, spa, or tattoo, or otherwise, beauty or wellness oriented business. It takes time. It's going to take time. It's going to take effort. You're going to be at it for a while, but social media it's one of those things that when you keep working at it, you keep building that audience. Like you got to keep, like we've made hundreds of videos at this point, John, for across the channels that we've worked with. Not all of them have been winners. Like not all of them have gotten, a million views, but creating that content, it gets you smarter. It gets you better on camera. It gets you better at scripting or shooting or all the things that are involved in that.
What I want to say also when it comes to involving your team in content creation, what that's going to require of you as the leader is also like trust. You need to be able to give that trust and to allow your team to go and to share and to do, which is like what they put out, like it's a representation of your brand, right? But you need to allow that to happen, because I've seen that many times when we kind of have this discussion that people are like uncomfortable with like just letting people share and speak on behalf of the brand, right? But like getting clear on that brand and making sure your team is educated on the principles for your brand so that they can then have the freedom to kind of go and create, because they are in alignment with what your brand is about and they understand how they should be communicating, right? I think that is important so that you can trust them and they feel that you trust them, because not only does that help you get more content created because they are out there creating great content for you, it's also like building team morale and they feeling that they're actually part of creating the brand and what the brand is. And so there's like many dimensions to this beyond just getting content out there that I think is important to consider as well as you involve your team in content creation. How do we actually manage this, Kale?
So there's a couple ways that we can tackle it. I want to make it clear that this is something that shouldn't be top down. Like this shouldn't necessarily be something that's being dictated, by the management, by the owner, that kind of thing. This is something that should be culture focused and culture first. One of the big ones would be like, this is something that you should have a salon meeting, a spa meeting about and talk to your team about. It should be something that's encouraging and empowering for your team. And it should be something that involves consent, right? Nobody should be forced to be on camera if they don't want to be on camera. That's definitely something that should be a big part of this. But this should be, the way that it's presented needs to be something that is a beneficial and culturally relevant part of the team. So I think that's number one, is this should be sort of egalitarian. It should be shared responsibility and a shared mission, right? It should be a shared mission for your team. And this is also something that should be disclosed and agreed to. So I wasn't sure if we should bring this up, but I think this is an important element of it, is like consent and waivers, right? Typically, when you're filming anybody, like it's important to have their consent to be filmed, and you're dealing with clients in your business. So a lot of businesses I see will implement like a sort of a blanket waiver that like, hey, if you become a client of this salon, as a part of like, when you become a new client, you have to maybe sign a waiver or something like that, a form that says like T's and C's or whatever of the business, right? And a lot of businesses that do a lot of filming, do a lot of content creation will say like, I agree to, any, my likeness being used or blah, 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 being filmed if I enter the salon or spa or that kind of thing. If you're going to be doing that, it's not a bad idea to include that in sort of like your new client packet or your form that you have them sign, just so that they're aware and that's sort of like understood that that's part of the culture. And if at any point they say like, hey, I wouldn't really like to be filmed, that's fine. Be respectful of that. Be cool about that. Nobody should be forced to do that as far as like your clients go. You want your service and experience is your number one product that you offer. So keep that in mind. But at the same time, this is something that should be baked in, right? This is something that should be at the ground level of the business. It's an expectation that this is going to happen and should be readily communicated to your staff and to your clientele.
So that's what we had for you today. Kale and I are on a mission to share 100 marketing ideas with you to help you grow your salon or spa business, and we're going to be releasing them frequently. So make sure you subscribe to this channel so that you get notified every time we publish new ideas here for you.
Thanks, everybody. Talk to you again soon.